Hello there, welcome back to another speed build. This one I've decided to call Mini Mansion because it wasn't intentional to be so large, but just because I was adding so many details, I was trying to fit a lot of details into one home, this home ends up being massive, way larger than I had sort of planned out for. I had a lot of ideas of things that I wanted to do, and I guess I sort of merged all of them into one build, so this build ends up being really, really large. And with that said, because it's so large, I've decided to split it up into numerous parts. I actually haven't decided how many parts yet, but it's at least, I would probably say, like 3 parts, maybe 4. Which is going to be a lot, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to, I guess, segment it out in the week, so there's that as well. I kind of wanted to do or release this video on Monday, but since I usually release my videos on Wednesdays, I don't know, it was just a little bit tricky to sort of put it or sort of divide it up into the week, because usually if I do a numerous part video, it's usually only like 2 different parts, so I'll do one on like Wednesday and then one on Friday, but because this is so long, I have to figure out how I'm going to divide it up. So anyways, this is a pretty large build. Not only is it like really large in terms of taking up the lot, it's also really tall as well, so there is about there's like 2.5 floors. So the second floor is pretty much really similar to the first floor, and then the third floor, that one is a little bit smaller because I don't use all of the like foot traffic or whatever. Not foot traffic, the whole blueprint or whatever. So yeah, you can already see at this point, I actually wasn't looking at the interior. I was mostly just sort of designing the exterior first and dealing with the interior later. And also with that said, so because this is segmented into parts, this whole part is just going to be the build. It's actually going to be the build and like a couple of minutes of like looking at the inside, so you can just get an idea of how big this place is and the difficulty that comes along with trying to make a floor plan in this middle section. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of different like nooks and crannies in this build. I thought it was kind of cool to have some inset walls, some I guess pop-out walls, just kind of dealing with a lot of different sort of things on each of the walls. You can see that rarely is it like flat wall. A lot of the floor plan has some cool things going on, and I actually think it turns out pretty well. I've done another video that was called Pooled Atrium, and that one, I guess I kind of wanted it to be more like this, where the outside had a better design, because I wasn't really quite happy with the exterior of the Pooled Atrium one. This one, I'm much more happier with it. I think that it actually looks somewhat manageable, somewhat like stylized, I guess, and yeah. So very similar to the previous build, not only is it built in Oasis Springs, but it's also features a lot of curved roofs. So you'll see that later on, but it takes me such a long time to build. That's also why this build is, or this video, or well, the entire build is so long, because just doing the exterior was so long because I was just trying to figure out all the things to do. Also, so with this part right here, I don't know why, but I did the second floor, and for some reason it just wasn't making it into a room. I triple checked that all of the walls were like completed. I think I checked that there was a ceiling above the floor as well, but it just wasn't making a room. So I just had to create like tons of individual rooms and then just knock down the walls. So finally worked. I'm not sure what happened, because as far as I know, I had every single wall closed off and yeah, there was a ceiling. Some reason it just didn't work out. Anyways, so that was the second floor. The second floor is pretty much exact same as the first floor. And now we are going on to the third floor. So this one is a little bit smaller. Not actually 2.5. It's probably like 2 stories and 3/4 or something, because third floor is still massive. And because this home is like a mini mansion, I think it has, how many bedrooms does it have? I think it has 5 bedrooms, and each of the bedrooms are gigantic. Each one is like a suite. Well, maybe not a suite. Okay, so there's 2 bedrooms, I think, that doesn't have their own bathroom, but all the other ones are like really large rooms. They have their own bathrooms. Each one has a closet, and it is just ginormous. There's a master bedroom as well, which is also large. And yeah. Also, so I don't think I'm gonna build in Oasis Springs anymore. I'm not a huge fan of Oasis Springs because for some reason it always makes the coloring a little bit difficult. And always when you take the screenshots, they turn like, it has like an orange tint. Well, of course, because the landscape is a little bit like of orange sand. It's supposed to mimic the desert, I guess. So, I don't know. I took some screenshots and I just didn't like them. Even in like daytime, the screenshots are really dark. So, with that said, when we get into the screenshots at the end of this video, you'll kind of notice that the screenshots, it just kind of looks dark and drab and not good. Like, not the type of screenshots and the type of lighting that you get in the other sort of neighborhoods. That's why I really like building in Newcrest because, well, first of all, Newcrest has tons of lots. They have a lot of different size lots, and also the lighting is just really good. In the daytime, you can get really bright screenshots. The whites actually look white. When you go here, the whites look a little bit orange, I guess because it's sort of reflecting off of the sand. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Oasis Springs has a lot of good lots, but I just don't like the lighting in this area, unfortunately. Also, so as you saw, I was doing a lot with shelving, and not shelving for the purpose of putting things on, like a shelf's purpose is to, I guess, put objects on the shelf for storage. But what I was doing was I was using the shelves for some architectural like elements. So as you can see above the front door, there is kind of like a, I don't know what it is. It's kind of just there for style. But then the other ones, I'm not sure if I've already done them, but around the other sides where there's exposed shelving, I put windows behind them. So it almost acts like an outdoor blind. One where you can get like a little bit of privacy, but you can also get sunlight in, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so I guess like you can't actually adjust the shelves, like you can't actually adjust the amount of sunlight that comes in, but it does give a little bit of privacy, which I think is really cool. You'll kind of notice it later on when we do a little bit more shelving, but that's just something to know. And I thought that was kind of cool. I came up with it by myself and I think it looks cool as well. It's a little bit different than I think the other homes that I've done, because I usually use the vertical beams, which is like the vertical version of these horizontal shelves, which are pretty cool. Anyways, so we are working on the back of the third floor, I guess. Just kind of finishing off the build. This is the point where I noticed that this build was getting gigantic, because when I did the first floor and the second floor, I didn't really think it was that large, but once I started working on the third floor, I was like, oh my god, this house is way larger than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, so I really just wanted to stop building and just start doing roofs, and you'll kind of see that I'm hesitant when it comes to this top section. So instead of diving deep into like finishing the build with doing the roofs, I was kind of finagling with a little bit of the design, like obviously doing this lattice kind of work and just coloring some walls, because honestly, it took me a little bit of a while to figure out how to roof this section. Roof the top section, you'll see. So there's like this blank top section. I didn't know what to do with it. Finally, I decided to put a curved roof. So I think there are a total of, well, there's a total of 3 curved roofs, but then there's kind of like a hidden 4th one. I don't know if we get into it in this part, because I think we get into it into like the last part or something. I added it at the last moment. So this is kind of like an ongoing part. I think for the most part, I'm done with the, I guess, build. I've done the interior already, but there are a couple of rooms that I'm not particularly happy with, so I might go back in a little bit later. And yeah, so I'm basically done, but I'm just doing some finishing touches. Oh, something that I completely forgot. I didn't do any of the exterior, so I do have to do. So I presume that this will be a whole like 4-part video. So yeah, lots of this build. As you can see, it's a massive build. I have to do a lot of the interior, a lot of the exterior. I didn't do any of like lighting outside, so there's that. And with the screenshots at the end, unfortunately, I completely forgot to change my game settings. So I play usually on the low medium settings, and then when I take screenshots, I take it in the high setting, the high preset. So unfortunately, I completely forgot to change into the high preset, so the screenshots are a little bit low quality, and one of the main, I guess, things that you can see the difference between the high and low, or low medium settings, is the windows. So as you can see, the windows, when you go onto a specific floor, those ones are transparent, but all the other floors are a little bit like foggy. They're not like opaque, but you can't really see through them. But yeah, so every single time you go onto a different level, the level that you are on, those windows are transparent. That's like the biggest thing that I've noticed. And also just the coloring's just not as bright, I would say. So unfortunately, screenshots are not that great in this video, but I guess that's also because I didn't do any of the outdoor furnishing. So there's not even like, there's no landscape done, there's no, I guess, sort of pathway to the front door. I didn't include a trash or a mailbox, so I do have to remember to do that as well. And then these are the shelves that I was talking about earlier, where I guess they're like sort of privacy screens, outdoor privacy screens. And past me was being stupid because I didn't look at the exterior before I started doing these shelves, because you'll realize I quickly change it because I accidentally put the shelves in the wrong spot. So I have to move all these shelves over by 1 square, which does take a while, especially because I was trying to get the shelves to be a little bit closer together, because by default they'll be quite wide in terms of height from each other, but I put a free shelf in between each of them. And I will say that these shelves are not perfectly aligned, and I know I kind of did it on purpose. I didn't really want to spend like the entire time just perfecting the shelves, because I don't think that if you download this build that you will be too particular about them. I mean, you probably can't see them. I don't know if you go into live mode if you can see them. I'm pretty sure you can't see them, because I think that when I was playing with it, I don't think you could see the shelves. So hopefully the shelves don't get in the way. But you know, there are some things that you do to, you know, sacrifice playability, but you just want it to be there for style. And yeah. So, oh shoot, I had something that I was gonna say, but I completely forgot about it. But something that I drew from the past build, there's a lot of curved roofs, a lot of the accents are tones of like this black wallpaper, and I use a lot of columns. So I'm using the really skinny columns from Get to Work, the ones that are super simple, or not Get to Work, sorry, Get Together, I think. Those ones are really simple. They're just straight up and down. There's no style or anything to them. But I'm using them not as supports, but as sort of just finishing the corners. Because there are a couple of wallpapers that have that corner detail, but sometimes it doesn't always work. It's not on every single corner, which is something that I've noticed. So I don't tend to use those wallpapers a lot, even though I like the idea of it. So instead of what I'm doing is I'm actually finishing off each of the corners with a column. And I think it works. The only thing that doesn't work though is that sometimes the columns are a little bit off. They're not always like straight on top of each other. And you'll notice that if you look really closely, but you know, if you're playing the game, I don't really think you'll notice too much. But yeah, so this is the like build, and I'm actually surprisingly like pretty happy with it. I had no picture that I was going off of, no idea really what I was gonna do. I just knew I wanted to do kind of like a mini, not a mini mansion, sorry. I just knew I wanted to do like a modern, boxy build. It ended up turning out way larger than I thought because I was trying to get so many elements, so many architectural elements into one design, and I think it works. So that's good. Anyways, just adding, maybe getting a little bit too carried away with the shelves, but adding some more in because I thought they were really cool. And I think they are really cool. When you go inside, it's nice. It's it's totally like you get like privacy, but you get the sunlight as well. So if you have like, hypothetically, if you have a neighbor that lives right next to you, you won't feel super like exposed. Because as you can see, this building takes up, I guess, like the majority of the lot. So if this was in real life, you would be really close to your neighbor. And that's something that I feel like is a lot of times the homes in like the California area. A lot of them build like really big homes all on a tiny lot. I mean, because you have money, obviously, but I think it's interesting that you have to be like so close to your neighbor, and yeah. But as you can see, the inside is still like pretty large, and it was really difficult trying to get the floor plan out. I'm not sure if it was the optimal floor plan, but I think it actually works. So we are getting into the inside, just showing you a little bit of how I kept like moving around trying to figure out how like this whole place would be kind of worked out, and it was a little bit tough, I'm not gonna lie, but you'll see in the next part. I'm not sure when that's coming out, but the next part will show the interior decorating, which actually turns out, I gotta say, pretty cool. I think I started out like apprehensive, but it turns out pretty sweet. There was parts where I struggled and parts where I knew exactly what I wanted, but I'm really happy with the final result. It's something that I've done a little bit differently than all the other builds that I've done, because the style of it is a little bit different. So I'm pretty happy. It's, yeah, I'm really excited to share it with you, because I think it is pretty cool. But anyways, this is the last of the video. Now we go on to screenshots. Sorry again that these screenshots are not particularly that great. Like you can't see into the windows at all. You can also see my sim off to the side. That is my test sim. I don't know his name, but he's pretty cool. I use him in every single one of my builds, just so I can go into live mode and take screenshots. And yeah, I think his last name is like Goetz or something like that. Goetz. Yeah, he's in his bathrobe, which is a little bit weird, but you know. And yeah, so just a lot of different shots of the home. Again, I couldn't get like the right lighting. I'm not particularly happy with this lighting. Maybe in a next video or something, I will, I guess, go into a different neighborhood and put the lot. So there's that. But yeah, so I'm not sure. Yeah, that's the end of the video. I wasn't sure how many screenshots there would be. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.